Have you noticed how China is buying gold like crazy lately? It's not just a random trend, it's a major shift that could change the balance of global power. In today's video, let's talk about why China is buying so much gold, what it means for the world economy, and how it could affect you, even if you live thousands of miles away. So, let's start from the beginning. Over the past few years, China has been quietly but aggressively increasing its gold reserves. According to the World Gold Council, China's central bank has been buying gold for months in a row, sometimes hundreds of tons in a single year. At the same time, Chinese citizens are also buying record amounts of gold jewelry and gold bars. The country has become one of the biggest buyers of physical gold in the world. But the question is, why? The first reason is trust, or rather, a lack of trust. China, like many other countries, no longer fully trusts the US dollar. For decades, the dollar has been the global reserve currency, meaning countries around the world hold it to trade and settle international transactions. But with rising US debt, constant printing of money, and the growing use of sanctions as a political weapon, China doesn't want to be so dependent on the dollar anymore. By buying gold, China is diversifying its reserves, reducing its exposure to the US financial system. Gold, unlike dollars, can't be frozen, seized, or manipulated by another government. It's a physical asset that holds value no matter what happens in the markets or in politics. It's like an insurance policy for China's massive economy. The second reason is strategy. China has long-term plans, and they're thinking decades ahead. One of their biggest goals is to internationalize their own currency, the Chinese Yuan, or renminbi. Right now, most global trade happens in US dollars, but China wants more countries to use the yuan. For that to happen, other countries need to trust that the yuan has real value behind it. And what better way to back a currency than with gold? If the yuan becomes even partially backed by gold, or if China can prove it has huge reserves of gold, that instantly gives the currency more credibility. It's a subtle way of saying, hey world, the yuan is strong and stable. You can rely on it. And that could be a big step toward challenging the dollar's dominance. Another reason is the growing tension between China and the West. The US and its allies have been imposing trade restrictions, sanctions, and technological bans. China knows that in a worst-case scenario, say if there's a conflict over Taiwan, it could be cut off from parts of the global financial system. By holding more gold, China is protecting itself from that kind of risk. Gold doesn't depend on swift payment networks, it doesn't rely on American banks, and it can be traded directly between nations. In fact, China has already been doing that quietly. Many of its deals with Russia, Iran, and some African countries are being settled either in yuan or through barter systems that include gold. It's part of a bigger trend to move away from what's called the petrodollar system, where oil and global trade are priced in US dollars. Let's not forget the timing. The world is going through massive uncertainty. Wars, inflation, and global debt at record highs. Central banks around the world, not just in China, have been buying gold at the fastest pace in decades. It's like everyone is preparing for something, maybe a new kind of financial order. But China, as always, is doing it on a much bigger scale. Now, let's look at the domestic side. Inside China, ordinary people are also buying gold like never before. Gold jewelry sales are up, and small investors are turning away from real estate and stocks, both of which have been struggling. The Chinese property market is in crisis, and their stock market has been weak. So people are turning to gold as a safe haven. Culturally, gold also has deep meaning in China. It's seen as a symbol of wealth and stability. Families buy it for gifts, for weddings, for savings, and in uncertain times, that tradition becomes even stronger. So when you combine government buying and private buying, the total gold demand becomes enormous. But what's even more interesting is how China is also increasing its influence over global gold markets. They've been setting up their own gold exchanges, like the Shanghai Gold Exchange, and pushing for pricing mechanisms that don't depend on London or New York. That means, over time, gold prices might not be controlled only by Western financial institutions. China wants more say in how global assets are valued. Some analysts believe that China might be preparing for a long-term economic showdown with the West. If there's a major financial crisis and the dollar weakens significantly, the countries holding the most gold will have an advantage. In that scenario, China could use its gold reserves to stabilize its economy, strengthen the yuan, and even influence trade in Asia and beyond. It's also part of a quiet economic war, a shift from paper wealth to real wealth. While Western countries are drowning in debt, China is stacking tangible assets, gold, rare earths, and energy resources. They're playing a slow and strategic game. Of course, not everything is straightforward. China doesn't reveal the full extent of their gold reserves. Many experts believe they own far more than they publicly report. Some estimates suggest that China could have double or even triple the amount they claim officially. And if that's true, it means they're already preparing for a future where gold once again plays a central role in global finance. So, what happens if China keeps buying gold like this? Well, first, it puts upward pressure on gold prices, which we're already seeing. Second, it signals to other countries that something big is coming, a possible shift in how the world measures value. And third, it quietly undermines the US dollar's global dominance. In the long run, we might see a world where multiple currencies compete: the dollar, the euro, and a gold-backed yuan. That could create a more balanced, but also more uncertain global system. And if that happens, those holding real assets like gold could come out on top. So next time you see a headline about China buying another ton of gold, remember, it's not just about jewelry or luxury. It's about power, strategy, and preparing for a future that might look very different from today. The world is watching, but China is moving quietly. And one day, when the balance finally shifts, we'll look back and realize it started with gold.